Hang on, I have to just hit play again.
Okay, look, I'll run through the story rapidly. Went to school in Hong Kong, took up cycling, became my passion, did it in my school holidays in the UK. Wanted to be professional, went across to France, because at the time there was no national setup, if you like, to further my career, to become professional. This is what I did. I was lucky enough to be very talented. Before I knew it, I was leading the #1 French team as a 23-year-old. From this point, if you like, that's where it all starts to get complicated and mixed up after spending 4.5 years in a professional cycling environment surrounded by doping, not at all hidden from me. So 4.5 years living with this and beginning to understand that the system was doing nothing. The only thing that was standing me from not doping with my own personal values and ethics, which had basically gone. And so when I did get propositions, we could go to the point of saying manipulated by figures in my team to dope, to put it bluntly, I gave up. Because it wasn't a case of risk of being caught. There was no risk of being caught. I wasn't going to get caught. So it was literally a case of, this is what I had to do. And that's, in a nutshell, how I came around to doping the first time. I thought it was my job to lead my team and to perform and not to let people down. I already had the glory, if you like. I was already winning races. But it got to the point where I couldn't afford not to win. And so I had people around me, father figures, that were basically kind of guiding me into the ideal position to protect all of our jobs, if you like. I've always enjoyed being in a leadership role. And I did assume this role very strongly within the team. And when it came to a point where I realized the team was absolutely lost without me, and at that point, particularly people in the team then chose to, if you like, channel me in the direction towards doping. The time was perfect when I was going through a rough time, the team was going through a rough time, and I was vulnerable. It was very manipulative, and it worked a treat because I didn't question it. I just gave in and was like, yeah, it was the right thing to do in my eyes. There was no longer a question of whether it was the wrong thing to do. It was kind of the right thing, the only thing to do for me then. So it's very simple to explain, but at the same time very hard, because a lot of people can't understand that unless they've been in that position. Mine's not a case of doing it for money, doing it for glory. The first time was literally doing it out of what I perceive to be an obligation. The hard bit is not doing it, the easy bit is doing it. Piece of piss, taking drugs, doping. Anybody can dope. It's hard not doing it. That's the truth of the matter. It's easy being bad. It's the dark side. When you don't sleep as well, you start becoming a more extreme personality, you start kind of self-flagellation. It's two different degrees, depends on the sort of personality you have, but fundamentally you don't sit there and dwell on it. You don't sit there over a bottle of wine having a philosophical discussion on the rights and wrongs of doping. That kind of ends. Everything changes to a certain degree because then you start living a lie 100% of the time. There's no turning back the clock. You can never honestly. The question is, have you dope? Do you dope? What are you thinking? It. You're lying every time. Which depends on the sort of person you are. A lot of people can do that, no problem. I learned to do it pretty much no problem, but in other areas of my life, it would show. It was becoming more of an extreme personality. But like I said, the first time I did it was because of what I considered to be my obligations and being manipulated. And when I doped again, it was because I could, and because then there was a question of money and glory, and I got away with it. And the first time can be explained. The second time, it's like it is, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, really, off your own back. And that's when everything really starts to change. You can't blame it on anyone anymore. You kind of just give up and become a bad person. Basically, I did the World Championships in 2003, met the GB team for the first time. At this point, the world class system was up and running well, and I met Dave Brailsford and got on really well, and he introduced me to an environment at the GB team that I'd never encountered before, with all the support and help. And it was another option, didn't have to dope. And I was like, well, this is pretty incredible. This is a whole different ball game. Got coaches, cyclists, they got the best bikes in the world. It was another level, you know. I didn't even have that in my Pro Tour team. I was making almost like 800,000 euros a year or something, and yet I'd have to beg for a good skin suit, or I was kicking up fuss on a daily basis to get my bikes sorted. This was something that none of the GB guys had. They had everything they needed at their fingertips, you know, and I was like, whoa, this makes life a bit easier. And the coaching there as well, I'd never had like that sort of encountered those sort of coaches, and it was just I had an option, and I'd won the 2003 Worlds doped. If I won it by a minute and a half, I'd have won that without the EPO. I hadn't taken an excessive amount. But and I thought, well, this is just ridiculous. What am I doing? And that's when I started working with the GB team. And I could never tell them that I'd been on drugs or anything, but I just had to hope that it would kind of disappear, you know, that would just all go. Unfortunately, life doesn't work like that, and it didn't disappear, and the police investigation started into my team, and although it had nothing to do with me because I was a team leader of the team, and the investigation became a bit of a political affair in France. Me being the team leader got arrested just randomly 10 days before the Tour de France started in 2004 in a restaurant, and taken back to my flat, they destroyed my apartment and found 2 empty syringes in my bookshelves with my watches, which I'd actually saved from the World Championships the year before. That was the last time I ever used it, which I'd completely forgotten about. The power of the subconscious had obviously left them there for some reason. And that was when I basically had to own up. So I just came out and told the truth, and told the truth about my previous times doping and everything as well. Then it all went pretty fucked up, to tell you the truth. I'd just been locked up in a prison cell for 48 hours and had my apartment destroyed by police who'd gone in at gunpoint, and they showed me 6 months of files of my phones being bugged. I remember lying in the cell thinking, how the hell did I get here? It's like, it's not exactly the High Wycombe Club 10. The realization I do remember having very clearly lying in that prison cell was I was about to lose everything. Everything. The car, my beautiful villa, money, the life. And it didn't bother me in the slightest. It didn't even bother me in the slightest. I remember thinking, well, Jesus, what the hell have I been doing this for? And I realized that, Christ, I got it all wrong.